Welcome to today's Seidokan Saturday. Moving on, our next kata as we move up towards Sandan is a kobudo kata with Tonfa. Now, there are a variety of styles of Tonfa, in Okinawan known as tuifa. The Chinese name, I forget, means short walking stick. So they're square ones. I believe Jesse Enkamp uses some that are uniformly square without the taper. The Shigeru version has the taper. There's the Hamahiga Tonfa with a rounded top and a flat bottom. Then there's the round Tonfa, which you can usually get commercially through most martial arts supplies. So a variety of different styles of Tonfa. And the important thing is how much elbow coverage you get when you're blocking. Now this round one of my older ones, is a little bit short if you look at it this way, shy of my elbow, but when you put it in blocking position, it covers the elbow perfectly, so it's ample length. It's a little bit light and the handle's gotten a little wobbly. I haven't repaired it, so won't be using that one today. These come from a kobudo store. I forget where I got them. It's been a while, but the handle is a little bit rougher, making the turn a little harder. Plus, they're still a little bit long. Gives me coverage for the elbow and then some, which is unnecessary. So what I'll end up probably doing is custom fitting it, just like buying a suit at the store off the rack versus having it tailored so it fits you properly. Getting a properly fit weapon really does help. And like I said, I haven't tailored these yet, but I like the weight of them a little bit more than some of the commercial lightweight woods that you'll get from a lot of high volume martial arts supply stores like Century, Asian World, Tiger, some of those. So the different styles of Tonfa, fit them to yourself. In terms of fitting it to yourself, we also want to look at the punching style. Some turn a full twisted punch. Some go vertical, which is correct. As Toma would say, botoke. The determining factor is you, the practitioner, and how you use it. For me, and I'll get to the camera here, if I punch with a full twisting punch and I'm accustomed to aiming solar plexus, you can see that the point of the tonfa is actually hitting here on the side of my rib. Now that may be okay, because if I'm doing a full twisting punch, maybe I am punching more into the side of the rib and then everything's braced and everything's okay. However, if I'm hitting solar plexus, when I actually make contact, I need to have my fist all the way to my left pec so that the front is in the center of where I'm targeting for solar plexus. Both of those, however, when I actually hit a target, a bag or something, and that impact causes the end to come up away from my elbow and is no longer braced. When I punch vertically and that end hits, I don't have that issue because it stays braced against my elbow. The other thing that keeping it vertical does is I don't have to change the trajectory of my punch. Center is center. The height may vary, so I bring my fist up to the sternum, which for me is easier than bringing my fist across to the pec, right? So if I'm keeping the point right here on solar plexus, the vertical, the completely horizontal versus the vertical. And for me, the vertical is easier to brace, easier to keep on target toward the center. Me personally. That may be different for you. You do it the way that suits you the best. The lineage of the kata that we do comes from Nakamura Shigeru, who is the great-grandfather who taught Shotoku-kyan, through whom everything that is Shorin-ryu came. We got this kata in Seidokan through Seikichi Odo and a trade of Tokumine no Kun to Seikichi Odo back and forth. I forget who gave who which kata, but Toma and Odo were good friends, and Odo is the person to whom Toma would send people if they wanted more kobudo training. I've personally never done a whole bunch of kobudo. I do basically the bare minimum and a couple of other things, but not the whole gamut of 12, 18, as many as 25 kobudo forms that some styles and systems do. One in our system per weapon, one kata per weapon is pretty much the standard of Seidokan, and then Toma would send people to Odo or elsewhere to enhance and augment their kobudo training. So that's the Shigeru Nakamura lineage to Toma. Now, because Matayoshi and Okinawa Kempo and Nakamura, Seito, the straight lineage of Nakamura, all do the same kata, they also bear some slight differences between the styles. And so it's not uncommon to take that same kata and name it for the variant that that instructor taught, which is why we call ours Toma no Tonfa. That said, also at the end of the kata, in addition to the jumps, the length, the customization, the history, at the end of the kata, there's a move where we turn and block. That's the old man slow stepping version. A little bit more athletic version is, from here, is to jump into the turn and the block. And then the super athletic version, which with my knees and hip, I'm not even going to attempt. You can go back, I'll put the link in the bottom of Brandon Nix, Ron Nix Sensei's son, on his Sandan test, his third dan test, doing the full athletic jump 360, 360 and then some, turn in the kata with the hoe up in the aerial. Very athletic. It's impressive to see. I'm not going to attempt that. So sort of half, three-quarter speed to go through the Tonfa form. Oh, also, some people, we do this in the salutation at the beginning. Some will also repeat that at the end before finishing the kata. I don't, most of us don't. There are only a couple of dojos where I've seen that variant on it, but the internals of the kata are the same in Seidokan pretty much everywhere outside of that punch. Hey, so without further ado, Toma no Tonfa. Toma no Tonfa. That's basically it, kind of three-quarter speed. As I said, how the weapon feels when it's newer versus one that you've used, weight, ability to manipulate. One other thing I failed to mention was when we're striking, all of the figure eights and over the shoulders and things, the emphasis a lot of times is put on hitting over here. That's just the follow through. The strike is here, this guy. So I want to hit in the middle, straight up to this, and then it follows through. Same with my figure eights. As I punch, I'm not pulling back here, I'm striking to the front and across the center. So I want to have that extension using the advantage that any weapon gives you, which is reach. We see the same thing with nunchaku, where it's all about the holding close and the fast flipping. But if you go to the Okinawan lineage nunchaku kata, they're striking, swinging out to the front. We're getting advantage of the reach. Now, I don't stop it out here all the time, although you could just do everything here, because by doing that, there's the first strike has power, but if I leave it out and then go here, this strike doesn't have the same power in it, where if I use my elbow and then allow the movement to flow from my elbow and shoulder rather than just flippity from the wrist. So those are some little tiny things that you might see some differences in. That's it for today's Seidokan Saturday. Toma no Tonfa. Thank you for joining. As always, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell. If you hate it, tell me why. I know there are things I can improve because I'm not a Kobudo master. I simply do the kata that are pertinent to our system. Try my best to learn how to use them in defensive techniques, which will show Tonfa on bow later down the road as well. Thanks for joining, and until next Saturday, most importantly, let's keep practicing.